Hey everyone, it's Austin with Hacking Healing, and today I wanted to do an in-depth video talking about the healing modality of grounding or earthing. I briefly touched on it in the first video just to make you aware of some very great healing modalities, but today I'm going to go more in depth about grounding and explain why I think it is the perfect place to start your self-healing or self-transformation routine. Couple of reasons. Number one is it is super simple to use. All you need to do is go outside and walk barefoot on the ground, the grass, hold a tree, do some stretching on a tree, or what I'm going to be more so talking about today is going to be what are called indoor grounding kits. So it's going to allow you to conduct these healing negative ions into your home, so that way you don't have to change up your routine basically whatsoever. All you need is a indoor grounding kit that you can either make yourself out of some scrap metal or just some materials at Home Depot for very cheap. And I will be doing a follow-up video at some point showing you how to make a couple different styles of these grounding kits. I actually personally use homemade grounding kits. I think that they conduct better. But you can also go online and find a variety of different indoor grounding kits, ranging from $30 to $50. Some of the bed setups are $100. And honestly, if I would pick one to recommend to you guys, it would be a grounding pillow or grounding sheet, because then you're getting a solid 6 to 8 hours of ion exposure, and then you really don't have to change your routine like whatsoever. You just purchase the sheet, you plug in the sheet, and then you're grounding while you sleep and getting these fantastic healing negative ions without changing your routine at all. You can also get pads or make a pad that you can ground while watching TV or reading a book, or for those of us who work at a desk, if you have access to the ground on an outlet or to earth, you can get your grounding that way. There are kits available for purchase online that ground to the ground of an outlet. Personally, I only ground to earth. I find earth to have a way more healing frequency, and I just trust it a little bit more personally. But there are lots of people that say that grounding to the ground on an outlet gives them all these benefits as well. So you can use it really easy without messing up your routine or changing your routine, which at the beginning is great. The harder we make it on ourselves at the beginning, the harder it's going to be to stay committed and disciplined in that routine. So we want to make it as easy on ourselves as possible. Grounding helps make transitioning out of our stressed state and promoting healing completely easy and possible at the beginning of our routine. So that leads me into why it's a great way to start as well. So it helps our body reduce our stress levels. It helps us promote healing. It improves our circulation. It does all sorts of various things that are going to give our body the nutrients and reduce the stress levels that promote healing. It's super important for us to reduce our stress levels, especially in modern day era. I'm sure most of you have heard of the term fight or flight. So the body has two main autonomic nervous systems, and it's going to be your stressed, which is going to fire off adrenaline and cortisol and all of the things that we need to survive. But the thing is both of those are actually very toxic for the body in high amounts. And our modern day stressful life is consistently firing those off and just messing the whole system up. And our body is not healing. It's not digesting. It's not regenerating if we're in this stressed state. We've either got survive or regenerate. That's it. You don't do both at the same time. So grounding helps guide the body out of the stress into the regenerate, digest our food, and be more calm and relaxed and balancing our hormones and our body systems all together at once. So to recap what grounding is for those of us who maybe didn't watch the first video, grounding is going to be the conduction of ions via contact with Earth. So these ions have been shown to be one of the most powerful antioxidants known in research. And what I'm referring to is going to be an indoor grounding kit that allows these ions to be conducted from outside in your home into your body for it to heal and restore balance inside the body. So what these ions are mostly known for, and we'll have a few images to help further explain that, is these ions dictate the integrity of the cell wall. And for those of us who don't know, the body is made up of trillions. Some of us have over 100 trillion cells making up our total organism. So grounding is going to help us feed a vital nutrient to all of these cells to allow us to be as healthy and optimum as possible. So the cell wall dictates what nutrients get in and what toxins can exit the cell. If the integrity is compromised, then all sorts of cellular problems happen. Nutrients aren't getting in, and then toxins are storing up inside. This creates inflammation, pain, discomfort, and all sorts of things that we don't want. So now that we kind of further understand what grounding is, I'm going to go ahead and get into the visual aids here so you can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about here. Okay. So, the first visual aid is going to be magnified images of red blood cells previous to grounding and then after grounding. On the left here, we have our before grounding, and this is 45 minutes of grounding. So on the left, you can see that all of these blood cells are all binded together. They're not dispersed. They have a very small surface area that they're covering. So that means it's going to be poor oxygenation and flow of nutrients throughout the body. Also, this makes the body very acidic, and body acidity is a huge issue, especially in modern day. As you can imagine, if the body's blood and its pH balance is acidic, then just think about it. That means it's eroding the interior of the body. Having unstructured and binded blood cells makes the body much more acidic. Other things that make the body acidic is going to be the adrenaline that fires off when we're stressed, the sugar in our diet, and a few other things. So this is before grounding. If you look over to the right, this is after grounding, and you can just see instantly the structure and the function, the structure return to the cell wall. Look over here, no cell walls. You can't even see a single cell wall over here. And then instantly, almost every single one of these, you can clearly see the cell wall, and they're dispersed throughout, so they're actually going about throughout the body and doing their job, giving nutrients and vital life energy throughout the body, and then also lowering the acidity of the body as well. I'm going to go to the next slide, which just is further of the same. At least on this left side, the previous to grounding, their blood cells are a little bit more, they have a little bit more structure, and they're a little bit healthier, but they're still significantly better after the grounding. I mean, look at all these, all the structure of the cell wall. That means all of these cells are doing their job exactly as they should be. There's great nutrition flowing through the body, and we're promoting healing. We're promoting being our best self when our blood cells are grounded like this. And the one thing is these are just blood cells, but like I said, all of those trillion cells in the body are also going to be getting their vital ions for them to return their structure and improve their function. The red blood cells are just the easy ones that we can magnify and see effectively. So the next image is going to be a depiction of the ion balance determining the cell wall that I was talking about. So on the right, the white is going to be our negative ions, the yellow are going to be our positive ions, and these are scattered. They're actually supposed to be lined up on each side with the corresponding ions on the outside for the exchange across the cell membrane. This one's all over the place. And here on this depiction, it's going to show you some of the issues that arise when the ions on the cell are scattered. So we've got nutrients trying to come into the cell, but a lot of it's getting blocked. A lot of it's not getting in. Only a small amount of the nutrients that this cell needs to be able to perform its job, it's not receiving. And then there's also toxins and eliminations inside here that need to be removed. That process of elimination is going to be lagged. That means toxins store up, and this will create either intracellular or extracellular edema, which also is inflammation, which is painful, discomforting, and just further reduces the health of the cells. So now we're going to transition to the healthy ones. So as you can see that I was talking about before, we've got our perfect negative ions on the one side and our perfect positive ions on the other, then the corresponding ions on the outside surrounding it, which is going to allow perfect nutrient flow into the cell, perfect toxin elimination outside of the cell, so all of our cells are going to be performing as best as they possibly can. So this next slide is an 8-week study done on, I believe, 24 participants, and these participants received 6 to 8 hours of grounding per night while they slept. So like I said earlier, that's optimum, that's prime. That means we're getting a lot of conduction at a point when our body is healing. So it's going to be able to suck up all those ions and incorporate it right into our healing. So the first image is going to be pre-earthing and then post-earthing of cortisol cycles. So on the right is going to be the healthy, more normal or balanced cortisol swing. We actually do want cortisol to spike in the morning. That's normal. That helps us get through our day and be productive. But then we want it to level out in the evening so we can start to recover and recoup and everything. As you can tell on the pre-grounding, these ones are all over the place. Each line is an individual person. So you do have a few people they're on that normal line, but there's a few that are just way above that, and some that just are not following it whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, after 8 weeks of grounding, almost all of them really, besides this one right here, are following that natural cortisol rhythm movement or curve. So then going on to the further results, 11 out of 12 participants fell asleep faster. So this was a huge improvement for me. I actually was on Seroquel and Ambien to help me sleep. Sleep used to be one of my biggest fears. I had a lot of PTSD, a lot of fear and just negative responses going on while I was trying to be sleeping and to be healing, so it was near impossible for me. Grounding allows me to fall asleep faster, but it also helps me sleep through the night, and it helps me to get into a dream state while I sleep. Then the next one is going to be 5 out of 6 women had less PMS symptoms or hot flashes. Some of the other studies, it helps with just menopausal symptoms and just lady hormonal symptoms in general. A lot of the ladies out there, I'm sure you find that interesting or appealing in some way. So then we have the next one is going to be 9 out of 12 participants felt more refreshed and had more energy. And I mean, obviously, who doesn't want to feel more refreshed and have more energy each day? Next one is going to be 9 out of 12, had less emotional stress, anxiety, depression, and irritability. This was a huge part of my life before the person that I am now. If you knew me before, you knew that that was part of my life, and that described me pretty well. But through a few other things that I actually kind of did mention at the beginning of this video, but grounding is one of the keystones of my recovery. I'm able to no longer have these symptoms really be in my life whatsoever. Of course, I get a little bit stressed out sometimes. Of course, I have my melancholy days. But for the most part, these words no longer describe myself. And this study didn't comment on it, but there are multiple studies that have also shown that grounding highly reduces pain. And that's one of the other biggest benefits that I receive from using grounding daily. So then the next slide is going to be the last slide that we have. So this is going to be a thermal image of a body. On the left is before grounding or earthing. On the right is going to be after earthing. And the red and orange is too hot of temperature. It's very hot for the body. But the heat means that it's not getting circulation and nutrients to cool that area down and to restore the voltages and all the biochemistry in that area back to being cooled off. And then you can tell, look how drastic that difference is. And the blue, the green is going to be good circulation. That means the nutrients are flowing through the body. Balance is being restored. These areas are much less stressed out. We still got to get a little circulation here to help that area, but it's moving, it's progressing. I mean, this is how easy it is to see just how important having your blood cells structure and function returned. This is the type of difference that it has in your body. And remember, everyone, it's not just the blood cells that receive this balancing. It's every cell that receives this balancing. We can just tell the difference easier and use the blood cells as a great example to allow you to see just how healing it can be. I hope this video has brought you some value. I hope now you can maybe make that decision and decide to incorporate grounding into your healing, self-transformation, or just self-optimization routine. If you want to feel, function, and be a better version of yourself, then please start incorporating grounding. It does take about 2 to 3 weeks of consistent use to be able to see the benefits, and that's once again why I think doing it while you sleep is the best option, because then you just plug it in and then you don't have to do anything other than that. You just go to sleep at the end of the night, and then after you make the decision 2 or 3 weeks later, you start to go, oh wow, I really do feel a whole lot better since I bought that 2 weeks ago. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and much love.